"You don't own me. There's no ring on my finger." That's what my Twitch streamer Fiancée said when I questioned her flirty donor act, so I gave her simps the receipts they paid for. What's up, Reddit? Throwaway for obvious reasons, because this shit's about to get messy. Never thought I'd be one of those guys airing out relationship drama online, but here we are. Dating a content creator turned out to be the dumpster fire people always joked about. Except this one came with ring lights and affiliate links. I, 29 male, work in finance. Just analyzing spreadsheets and dying inside a little more each day in my cubicle. Normal job, decent paycheck, boring life. Then I met Lexi, 27 female, 2 years ago, and everything went from zero to what the actual duck real quick. It all started at my buddy Jake's housewarming party. His new place had this sick rooftop deck overlooking downtown, and he invited basically everyone he knew. I was chilling by the snack table, where all the socially awkward finance bros hang out, when this girl walked in who literally made every dude in the room do a double take. Lexi wasn't your typical hot girl, not like Instagram model fake. She had this effortless vibe that made her stand out. Purple hair, which I'd normally find kinda cringe, these intense green eyes, and she was tall, like 5'10" in flat shoes. But what really got me was when she started talking about the economic implications of NFTs with Jake's tech buddy. Like, actually knew her shit. I ended up in their conversation circle, and somehow we got from crypto to anime, to our shared obsession with these obscure Japanese indie games. Before I knew it, it was 2 a.m., and we were the only ones still having an actual conversation, while everyone else was either passed out or doing stupid party shit. Got her number, started texting that night when I got home, and we didn't stop for like 2 weeks straight. Our first date was supposed to be coffee, but turned into this 14-hour marathon where we hit up this hole-in-the-wall ramen place, checked out an art installation, walked around the lake, and ended up watching the sunrise from my car at this lookout point. No hookup, just talking until our throats hurt. I'll admit, I was hooked early on. She was sharp, funny, and different from the usual. At first, it felt like I'd finally met someone who matched my energy, not just another Instagram clone chasing clout. I'd find myself checking my phone constantly during work meetings. My buddy Tom actually called me out. "Dude, you're acting like a 16-year-old with his first girlfriend." He wasn't wrong. Found out she was trying to make it as a Twitch streamer. Had maybe 10,000 followers at the time, mostly playing Animal Crossing and doing just chatting streams. She had this whole aesthetic going. Pink gaming chair, LED lights arranged in cloud shapes, kawaii headphones, the works. Not really my scene. I play FPS games, but never got into the streaming world. But I thought it was dope she was building something for herself. Our first few months were honestly the best relationship I'd ever had. We'd stay up all night talking about everything and nothing, go on random road trips to weird tourist traps, and just clicked in a way I never experienced before. I remember this one night, about 3 months in, we were lying in bed after watching a movie. She turned to me and said, "You know what's weird? I've never felt this comfortable with anyone before." And I believed her. That's the thing about manipulators. They're really good at making you feel special right before they start chipping away at your boundaries. Then came the first red flag, waving so hard it could have generated electricity. About 6 months in, she started making these casual comments about my Instagram. "Why do you follow so many thirst trap accounts? Do you really need to like bikini pics of girls you don't even know?" At first, I laughed it off, but she kept bringing it up. Eventually, she straight up told me to unfollow all these fitness models and influencer girls. Made me feel like some kind of perv when I was literally just following normal accounts that occasionally posted gym selfies. But I figured whatever, not worth fighting about. So I did a mass unfollow of like 50 accounts. I pushed back at first, told her they were just gym accounts and not that deep. But eventually I gave in, just to keep the peace. Figured it wasn't worth the argument. In hindsight, that was her first power move. She was checking too, would literally scroll through my following list every now and then to make sure they were all gone. I remember sitting there watching her scroll through my account, thinking, this seems a bit excessive, right? But then she'd look up with this smile and say, "I just want to be the only girl you're looking at." And somehow it would seem romantic instead of controlling. That's how they get you, man. Meanwhile, her Twitch was starting to pop off, hit like 25,000 followers. I was genuinely stoked for her. Went all in on supporting her. Dropped serious cash helping upgrade her setup. Professional lighting, 400. Broadcast quality mic, 350. 4K webcam, 250. Even built her a custom gaming PC, 1,000 or 800, so her streams wouldn't lag. Painted her streaming room the exact shade of lavender she wanted, added sound dampening panels so neighbors wouldn't complain, the whole nine. And she was appreciative at first. Whenever she'd hit a milestone, I'd bring her favorite boba tea or take her out to celebrate. I was her biggest fan, mod for her channel, always in the chat, hyping her up. There was this one stream where she hit 25,000 followers, and she actually teared up and thanked her amazing boyfriend for all his support. That was the last time she ever acknowledged my existence publicly. I didn't realize it then, but as her numbers grew, I was becoming a liability to her brand. Fast forward about 8 months. Her channel was absolutely blowing up. She hit 40,000, then 50,000, then 60,000 followers in like a 4-month span. Started getting legit sponsorships from gaming companies, peripherals, energy drinks, even some makeup brands. I was genuinely proud of her hustle. Girl was putting in work, streaming 6 to 8 hours daily, networking with other streamers, always engaging with her community. I remember this weird dinner we had with another streaming couple. The guy, let's call him Mick Drop, was about my age. His girlfriend, Cutie Kitty or something equally cringe, was a streamer with about 100,000 followers. Throughout the entire dinner, Mick Drop barely spoke. When he did, Cutie Kitty would cut him off or correct him. I remember thinking, damn, that's rough. Glad Lexi doesn't treat me like that. On the ride home, Lexi couldn't stop talking about how smart Cutie Kitty was with her brand management. Did you see how many subs she has? And those sponsorships? She really knows what she's doing. I nodded along, not realizing I was looking at my future. Her stream persona evolved too. What started as casual gaming with commentary morphed into this whole gamer girl next door who might just be your future girlfriend vibe. Lots of winking at the camera, giggling at every dumb joke in chat, calling her viewers babes, and blowing kisses when they donated. The lower the neckline went, the higher the donations climbed. Look, I'm not some controlling dickhead. I get that certain aesthetics and personalities do better on Twitch. It's entertainment. But then I started noticing her social media was getting, let's call it, strategically misleading. Her Instagram bio changed to single AF with a link to her Amazon wishlist. Her Twitter had DMs open for fun chatting, and she'd respond to flirty comments with heart emojis. I tried to bring it up one day when we were out grabbing lunch. Just a quick bite between her editing breaks. She had her laptop open, half listening while tweaking some thumbnail for her next stream. So, when did you become single AF on Instagram? I asked, trying to sound chill, even though I already knew the answer. She didn't even flinch. It's for growth. Guys engage more when they think you're single. And the bio on Twitter? That part of the strategy too? She rolled her eyes. Yes, babe, it's just how the platform works. It's not personal, it's business. They donate more when they think they have a shot. That line stuck with me. Like I was supposed to be cool with her faking availability to squeeze more cash out of lonely dudes. I let it slide in the moment. Told myself it was her career, and I needed to be supportive. She'd moved in a while back. Made sense at the time. I gave up my office so she could have her little streaming setup, even helped trick out the room so her content sounded clean. But somewhere along the line, I stopped being part of the picture. No more mentions of me. No photos, no stories. My existence didn't fit her brand anymore. That's when it hit me. I wasn't a boyfriend. I was a behind-the-scenes convenience. And that was starting to feel real damn inconvenient. Suddenly, I wasn't allowed to be in her Instagram stories. No mentions of having a boyfriend on stream. No pictures of us together on any of her socials. If we went somewhere cool, like this hot spring we hiked 6 miles to reach, she'd post solo shots that made it look like she went alone or with girlfriends. When I asked about it, she'd say, "My brand is being available and relatable. Tagging you kills the fantasy for the viewers. These guys don't want to be reminded I have a boyfriend." I remember standing at that hot spring, watching her take selfie after selfie, carefully angling the camera so I wasn't in any of them. We'd just hiked for 3 hours together. I was carrying most of our gear, and I realized I was essentially a pack mule who wouldn't even get photo credit. That feeling stuck with me. Useful behind the scenes, but never part of the show. She became increasingly protective of her phone too. Always face down, always with her, even for a 2-minute bathroom trip. If I walked in while she was texting, she'd switch apps so fast you'd think her screen was on fire. "Just business stuff," she'd say. "Boring streamer things you wouldn't understand." There was this one night when she fell asleep on the couch, and her phone kept lighting up with Discord notifications. I'm not proud of this, but I looked. Message after message from guys with usernames like Your Secret Admirer and LexiLover69. The messages I saw weren't explicitly sexual, but they were definitely intimate, talking about how they couldn't stop thinking about her, how her voice helped them fall asleep at night, How they felt like they really knew the real her. I didn't scroll far, just put the phone back, didn't even confront her about it the next day. Why? Because I was already doing that thing where you gaslight yourself before they even have to. It's just part of streaming culture, I told myself. They're just parasocial weirdos. She's not encouraging it. Meanwhile, I'm watching my girlfriend essentially run a digital hostess club, flirting with dudes for money, while I'm scrubbed from her online existence. But she was making good money now, sometimes pulling in $5,000 to $6,000 a month between donations, subs, sponsorships, and whatever the hell else. I didn't want to be that guy who messed with her bag over what she insisted was just marketing strategy. Plus, when we were alone together, which was increasingly rare as her streaming schedule expanded, she was still the same Lexi I fell for. There was this weird dual reality we were living in. In private, we'd cook dinner together, binge shows, talk about future plans, normal couple stuff. But the moment she went into her streaming room, it was like I ceased to exist. I'd hear her through the wall, using her stream voice, higher pitched, more giggly, constantly saying things like, "No, I'm totally single," or "Maybe I just haven't found the right guy yet." I tried to compartmentalize it. It's just a character she's playing, I'd think, like an actor in a role. But then why did it hurt so much every time I heard her deny my existence? Then came Valentine's Day. That's when everything started to change. I'm not usually big on commercialized holidays, but I wanted to make it special for her since she'd been working so hard. Made dinner reservations at this Japanese place she'd been wanting to try. Bought her this amethyst necklace she'd been eyeing for months. Dropped $400, even cleaned the apartment and set up this whole romantic scene with candles and shit. Real effort, you know? That morning, I'm working from home when there's a knock at the door. Delivery guy with a massive bouquet of roses and a teddy bear holding a heart. My first thought was, shit, did I accidentally order 2 gifts? But the card read, "To my secret crush, you always know how to make me smile. XOXO your Lexi." It wasn't for her. It was from her to some guy called Dark Knight. Standing there with that card in my hand, I didn't even feel angry yet. Just cold. Like I was finally seeing the version of her she hid behind ring lights and donation goals. Like, who the hell sends Valentine's gifts to another dude when you're in a committed relationship? The secret crush part especially twisted the knife. When she woke up, she slept until noon most days after streaming until 3 a.m. I asked her about it. She laughed like I was being ridiculous. "He's my top donor. Gave me like $2,000 last month alone. It's just business, babe. He gets a $30 gift. I get another month of rent covered. It's smart marketing." I tried explaining how fucking weird it felt. Her sending Valentine's gifts to some random dude while we're living together, while I'm planning our Valentine's celebration. "You seriously don't understand how content creation works," she said, rolling her eyes. "Every girl on Twitch does this. It's not like I'm actually into him. He's probably some 40-year-old basement dweller who lives with his mom. Here's the thing. I worked in finance. Literally, my job to understand ROI and client relationship management. But there's a line between business and whatever the hell this was. The Valentine's dinner was tense, but we moved past it. She loved the necklace, said all the right things. But something in me just shifted. I had enough. For the next week, I couldn't stop thinking about it. More red flags started becoming obvious. How she'd schedule her streaming breaks around when certain donors were most likely to be online. How she had different pet names for different high-value simps. How she'd come to bed at 4 a.m. after a stream and immediately curl away from me to text someone. It all came to a head one night when I asked if we could take a weekend trip together, just us. She immediately said she couldn't because she had scheduled content to create. "Can't you just tell your viewers you're taking a weekend off?" I asked. Her response knocked the wind out of me. "Look, I don't have a ring on my finger, so you can't really control who I talk to or what I do with my time," she snapped. "My followers pay our bills. You want me to prioritize you? Put a ring on it." I sat there stunned. Was she actually suggesting that I had to officially lock her down before she'd respect our relationship? "Are you saying you'd change how you act with these guys if we were engaged?" I asked, genuinely curious if that would make a difference. She softened a bit. "I mean, yeah. If we were really committed like that, obviously things would be different. But right now, I'm building my brand, and being single and available is part of that brand." In my idiot brain, a little light bulb went off. Maybe she was right. Maybe we just needed to formalize our commitment, and then she'd set better boundaries with her simps. Maybe she was just insecure about where we stood. So I did it. I proposed. 2 weeks after the Valentine's Day incident, I bought a ring. Not some cheap thing either. Spent 3 months' salary on a princess-cut diamond with a custom setting. I planned a weekend trip to this mountain cabin, got everything set up perfectly. When I got down on one knee, I actually believed this would fix everything, that the ring would somehow transform our relationship, make her see how serious I was, and she'd finally start respecting my feelings about her online behavior. She cried when I proposed, said it was the happiest day of her life. For that weekend, it really did feel perfect. We talked about future plans, about maybe buying a house together, even about what our wedding might look like. No streaming, no donos, just us. The drive home was when things started shifting back. She was already on her phone, texting her mods about upcoming streams, planning content. When we got home, she immediately went to her streaming room to catch up on stuff. I thought maybe she just needed to check in with her community, let them know she'd been away. Totally reasonable, right? Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Her ring was sitting on the bathroom counter. She'd taken it off before going to stream. When I asked her about it later, she said, "Oh, it catches the light weird on camera. Plus, I don't want to deal with a million questions about it right now." That should have been my first clue that nothing was going to change, but I was still high on the engagement, still convinced we'd turned a corner. A week passed. The ring spent more time in its box than on her finger. Her bios still said single AF and looking for my player too. The late-night voice calls continued. Nothing had changed except now I was out several $1,000s and feeling like an even bigger fool. Then, one night while she was in the shower, I noticed Discord notifications popping up on her streaming PC. Something about a VIP server I'd heard her mention on streams but knew nothing about. I clicked on it. What I found made me physically nauseous. It was a private server with about 15 guys, all her top donors. The chat was full of selfies she'd never posted elsewhere. Nothing explicitly sexual, but definitely suggestive. Low-cut tops, pouty faces, those half-smile bedroom eyes. She was sending voice messages calling them babe and sweetie. One guy, Commander Cash, kept referring to her as my girl in the chat. And she'd reply with shit like only yours in Discord or don't make me blush, Commander. Another dude was planning to fly to our city and she was helping him pick a hotel. Can't wait to finally meet you in person. I scrolled further and found private voice chat logs. Hours-long sessions, sometimes until 5 a.m., with individual donors. The logs didn't show what was said, just the duration and participants. But I saw my now fiancé had spent over 3 hours in a private call with Dark Knight just the night before, after telling me she needed to edit some stream highlights and couldn't come to bed. The worst part? A chat from just 2 days after our engagement, where she sent a voice message saying, "No, nothing's changed in my life. Still single and loving it. You know you're the only one who really gets me." This while I was in the other room, planning our ducking engagement party. Hell nah. This wasn't marketing. This wasn't business. This was actively cultivating fake romantic connections with multiple men, while living with me, while engaged to me. I sat there in her gaming chair, staring at the screen, feeling like someone had punched a hole through my chest. That's when something inside me just snapped. Not in a rage way, but in a clarity way. Like when a fever breaks and suddenly everything is crystal clear. I didn't confront her when she got out of the shower. Didn't yell or make a scene. Just went to bed early, mind racing with what I'd discovered. She didn't even notice anything was wrong, too busy getting back to her real relationships with her donors. But the old Tyler, the one who made excuses for her, who believed her lies, who kept hoping things would get better, that guy died. In his place was someone who wasn't going to take this shit anymore. I woke up the next morning with absolute clarity about what needed to happen. No more confrontations that would just end with me apologizing somehow. No more believing empty promises. I was done. But I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. Not after everything. She deserved consequences. And those simps deserved to know the truth about who they were throwing money at. First step in my revenge. I followed back all those fitness models and influencer girls she'd made me unfollow. Petty? Absolutely. But it felt good to reclaim that tiny bit of control. She noticed within hours. "Why are you following all these sluts again?" she demanded over dinner. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "Just expanding my social circle. It's just content, right? Not like I'm actually into them." The look on her face when I threw her own logic back at her was priceless. Like she'd been slapped with a cold fish. "That's different and you know it," she hissed. "How? You're cultivating relationships with multiple men who think they have a special connection with you. I'm just looking at some fitness posts. Seems like you're the one crossing lines, not me." For the first time ever, I didn't back down or apologize. Just stared her down until she looked away first. The power dynamic had shifted, and she knew it. She stormed off, slammed the door to her streaming room, and started a surprise stream where she vaguely complained about unsupportive partners for 2 hours. Got about $500 in sympathy donations. I listened to the whole thing from the kitchen, laughing to myself while making a detailed plan for what came next. Then I started focusing on myself. Hit the gym 5 days a week, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, picked up my old hobbies, basically acting like I was single while still living with her. And man, it drove her crazy. "Why aren't you watching my streams anymore?" she'd ask, clearly annoyed. "Super busy with work," I'd say, not looking up from my book. "You used to leave supportive comments. Thought you wanted to keep our relationship private? Wouldn't want to ruin the fantasy for your fans?" The less attention I gave her, the more she demanded. Classic narcissist move. She'd walk around the apartment in increasingly revealing outfits, trying to distract me from whatever I was doing. When that didn't work, she'd pick fights about nothing. The dishes, the thermostat, how I loaded the effing dishwasher. I remember this one night, I was heading out to meet Dave for basketball. She came out of her room in lingerie, tried to convince me to stay home. For the first time in our relationship, I wasn't interested. Just said sorry, already committed to the guys, and left. The look of absolute shock on her face was better than any form of revenge. She wasn't used to not getting her way with me. But I wasn't just mentally checking out, I was building a case. Because I wasn't just walking away, I was going to show her donors exactly who they'd been simping for. So while focusing on my physical and mental gains, I started gathering evidence. Created a burner email, used it to make accounts on all her platforms. Even bought a prepaid Visa card so the donations couldn't be traced back to me. I joined her Discord servers, both the public one and eventually finessed my way into the VIP one by strategically donating just enough to get noticed. Picked the username Phoenix Rising, LOL, that's so stupid, and crafted this whole persona of a successful but lonely tech entrepreneur who worked too much to date. I even set up a voice changer for the few times I needed to speak in Discord calls. Honestly, creating this alter ego was weirdly fun. Phoenix Rising was confident, slightly mysterious, and just vulnerable enough to seem authentic. I'd drop hints about my successful app development company and my empty penthouse apartment. Lexi ate it up, fresh whale in her donor pool. For 2 solid months, I documented everything. Screenshots of her telling different guys they were the special one. Clips of her streams where she'd explicitly say she was single and looking for the right guy. Discord messages where she'd coordinate private gaming sessions with top donors that were really just thinly veiled flirting sessions. One particularly stomach-turning discovery. She had a Notes app document titled Donor Facts, where she kept track of personal details about each high-value simp. Birthdays, job info, personal struggles they'd shared, what compliments they responded to best. It was like a dating spreadsheet, except the goal wasn't actually dating, just extracting maximum donations. I broke everything down into folders with the precision of a military operation, each one hitting harder than the last. There was one packed with screenshots from her bios and tweets where she claimed to be single, even joked about taking boyfriend applications on stream. Another folder showed how she was running the same emotional script on multiple donors, feeding them identical personal secrets, making each one feel like he was the exception. Then came the comparison shots, how she acted with me in private versus the fake flirty persona she pushed online, along with all the lies about where she was going and who she was talking to. The final folder was the nail in the coffin, proof that even after saying yes to my proposal, she kept hiding the engagement while stringing along those fake relationships like nothing changed. I even found receipts showing she was sending personalized videos to certain donors. Nothing explicitly sexual, but definitely borderline. Good morning videos from her bed, actually our bed, whispered good night messages, videos where she'd address them by name and thank them for always understanding the real her. The absolute worst thing I found came through my burner account. Just 3 weeks after creating Phoenix Rising, I got invited to one of her inner circle Discord calls with 5 other top donors. The topic that night? Their special connections with Lexi. I was in our spare bedroom with headphones on while she streamed in her office, completely unaware I was on the call. "My fiancé is such a fucking moron, bro," she laughed, not knowing I was recording every word. "Thinks I'm actually going to marry him. As if I'd give up all this for some boring finance bro. He's convenient for now. Free rent and tech support, am I right?" The other simps laughed along, totally oblivious that they were just as expendable to her as I was. "He actually proposed with this tiny-ass diamond. Like, am I supposed to be impressed? I'd rather have another gaming PC than that ring," she continued, while I sat there clenching my fists, listening to her mock the $8,000 ring I'd saved for 6 months to buy. The same ring sitting unused in her jewelry box. That call changed everything. My plan crystallized that night. 2 weeks later, on the morning of her anniversary stream, I left for work as usual, told her I'd ordered flowers to be delivered during her broadcast as a surprise. As soon as I was out the door, I went to my favorite coffee shop, ordered the largest dark roast they had, and pulled out my phone. I'd been collecting evidence for weeks, and now it was time to use it. Unlike Lexi, I barely used social media. My Instagram had maybe one post every couple months. Just hiking trips, the occasional concert, normal shit. Had about 600 followers, mostly friends, coworkers, and people from our social circle. I rarely posted stories and never did those cringy inspirational captions. Just normal dude stuff. But that morning, I posted a 10-slide carousel to my regular account. First slide was simple text. Your favorite single Twitch streamer has been running a scam on all of you. Swipe to see how she manipulates her donors while secretly being engaged. The other slides were the receipts. Screenshots of her calling different donors the only one who gets me. Her talking shit about her top supporters behind their backs. Her telling her Discord simps she was single while wearing my engagement ring off camera. And definitely a recording of her laughing about how pathetic her donors were for thinking they had a chance with her. Caption was simple. She always said being single was good for business. Now she gets to be single for real. I tagged her account and hit post, then put my phone in my pocket and went to catch that new action movie everyone was talking about. Enjoyed my popcorn and the explosions on screen, something oddly satisfying about watching shit blow up on the big screen. When I checked my phone after the movie, my post had blown up. What made it so perfect? Her friends saw it first. All those mutual connections who followed both of us. They were the initial wave that spread it everywhere. The same people who'd been at our engagement party were now sharing my post with comments like, always knew something was off, and this explains so much. By the time her actual fans and donors saw it, her inner circle had already turned on her. Her actual best friend, who'd been her mod since day one, apparently went live on her own tiny channel to confirm everything in my post was true. Said she'd been uncomfortable with Lexi's business tactics for months. According to my buddy Dave, who was watching her anniversary stream out of curiosity, about 45 minutes in her chat suddenly exploded with links to my Instagram post. Her mods couldn't delete comments fast enough. Someone donated $50 just to have text-to-speech read out, "Why does your fiancé's ring cost less than my donations last month?" on stream. The look on her face, man. Dave sent me a clip. She was mid-sentence thanking someone for a donation when she saw the chat blowing up. Her fake smile just cracked. Eyes wide, face pale, complete deer in headlights. Tried to play it off as internet trolls being trolls, but you could see the panic. She ended the stream about 2 minutes later, claiming she wasn't feeling well. I never went back to the apartment. Just texted the property manager that I wouldn't be renewing the lease, it was in my name anyway, and that my ex could stay till the end of the month. Left a note on her PC. Engagements off. Rents paid through the month. Good luck with your content. The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect. My phone blew up with calls and texts. You freaking psycho, what did you do? Please, baby, we can work this out. Please call me. I'm going to sue you for everything you have. My career is ruined because of you. Please just talk to me. Blocked her number, deactivated my Instagram, changed my email. Her Discord imploded within hours. These dudes who'd been sending her hundreds of dollars a month suddenly realized they weren't special. They were all getting fed the same lines. One of her mods leaked a year's worth of DMS, where she'd been stringing him along. Another donor posted voice messages where she trash-talked other donors right after taking their money. From what mutual friends told me, she tried every damage control move in the book, crying TikToks about being harassed, claiming screenshots were fake, saying donors misunderstood her friendly banter. But her follower count dropped by half overnight. Twitch even suspended her account pending investigation, and she actually tried to sue me for defamation about 2 weeks after everything went down. Probably thought she could scare me into silence. My lawyer just forwarded her attorney the full, unedited folder of receipts. Screenshots, audio files, videos, Discord logs, all of it. Not a single thing was faked. Not a single line out of context. Case got dropped so fast it might as well have been an email spam filter doing the review. Word is, she took the loss hard. Her follower count tanked from 60,000 to just under 20,000 almost overnight. Sponsorships dried up. Her VIP simps either ghosted or turned on her. And yeah, she tried pivoting, did the whole couple content thing with some mid-tier FPS streamer. They went live together like it was all sunshine and serotonin, but you could see it on her face. The panic behind the fake laughs, the smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her content lost that manufactured intimacy she built everything on, and without it, she was just noise in a saturated market. Meanwhile, I leveled up. New apartment. Back in the gym. Back with my old crew. Got myself back. Felt like I'd stepped out of a fog I didn't realize I'd been living in. And yeah, I started seeing someone new. She's a wildlife photographer. No Twitch, no TikTok, no curated persona. She's got like 200 Instagram followers, and most of them are probably her cousins and coworkers. On our third date, she took me to this insane lookout spot deep in a state park. No service, no distractions. Just us and the view. Doesn't it bother you that you can't post this? I joked. She glanced at the sky, then back at me. I don't care about the algorithm, she said. I care about what's real. After 2 years with someone who faked every emotion for clout and cash, that hit like a reset button. But Lexi? She didn't go quietly. The silence lasted maybe 6 weeks before she started reaching out again. First through mutuals. Then from burner accounts. Then, eventually, a handwritten letter. 4 pages, full of regret, nostalgia, and half-baked apologies. She said she missed our quiet mornings and the way I made her feel grounded. Said she wasn't thinking straight back then, that she got lost in the content grind and forgot what real love felt like. Said she wanted to talk, to explain, to make things right. Promised she was in therapy now, not like that anymore, and finally seeing things clearly. I didn't reply. Because here's the thing, when someone shows you who they really are, you don't circle back. You build better. You build with someone who doesn't need a camera on to be present. You move on, and you don't look back. And just like she said, single is good for business. Now she gets to live it, for real. Family is refusing to come to my wedding. Just because my sister likes my fiancé. Growing up in a small family, you'd think it'd be easy to share the love and attention equally, but that wasn't the case in our household. I'm the older sister, 28 now, and my sister's 24. From a very young age, it was painfully obvious that I wasn't the favorite child. This isn't just me being bitter, it's just how it was. My parents, whether they realized it or not, made decisions that constantly put my sister Angela in the spotlight while I lingered in the shadows. It started with small things. Birthday parties were a big showcase of this disparity. For Angela's 5th birthday, there was a huge bash with all the frills, clowns, a bouncy castle, the works. My birthday, just a few months earlier, had been a quiet affair at home with a homemade cake and a couple of gifts. Not that I didn't appreciate the effort, but the difference was stark. It seemed like every year her birthday was an event while mine was an afterthought. School events further highlighted the imbalance. When Angela was in kindergarten, she got a part in the school play. My parents were over the moon, they took time off work, bought her a fancy costume, and invited relatives to come see her perform. Fast forward a couple of years, I had a solo in a school concert. I was nervous and excited, thinking this was my moment to shine, and maybe, just maybe, get that same enthusiastic support. The day came, and only my mom showed up, ducking in at the last minute and leaving quickly after without much comment. Dad didn't make it. He had to work late, or so he said. Angela had soccer practice, and that couldn't be missed, apparently. Christmas was another time the favoritism was obvious. One year, I remember both of us had been eyeing this video game console that had just come out. We both hinted as much as we could that it was at the top of our lists. Christmas morning came, and there it was under the tree, with Angela's name on it. My gift was a book series, which I did want, but it was clear who got the big-ticket item and who got the consolation prize. Angela was ecstatic, and I tried to be happy for her, but it was tough. As we got older, the pattern continued. Angela always had the newer clothes, the latest gadgets, and more freedom. When I asked for a later curfew at 16, it was a flat no, with a lecture about responsibility and safety. But Angela, when she reached the same age, was allowed to come and go as she pleased with hardly a word said. It wasn't just material things either. It was the attention and emotional investment. Angela struggled in math during middle school, and my parents were all in, hiring tutors and spending nights helping with homework. I was decent at math, actually pretty good at academics all around, but it was just expected, not celebrated. Any achievement I had was met with a smile and a quick pat on the back. Then the conversation would shift back to whatever Angela was doing, even if it was just some minor drama with her friends. School was supposed to be my escape, a place where I could shine on my own merits. But even there, the shadow of my sister's favoritism followed me. Throughout elementary and middle school, it felt like I was just going through the motions, invisible unless something went wrong. Take science fair season in the 5th grade. I spent weeks on my project, a detailed model of the solar system where each planet moved on a motorized track. I was so proud of it, working every evening after dinner, painting the planets, wiring the motors, checking every detail. I couldn't wait to show it off at the school science fair, thinking maybe this time my parents would see I was good at something too. The night of the fair, I stood next to my project, eager to explain the orbits and the gears to anyone who'd stop by. My parents promised they'd be there, said they wouldn't miss it for the world. Halfway through the evening, they hadn't shown up, and I was trying not to let it get to me, focusing on the judges' questions and the interested looks from classmates and their parents. Then, finally, my mom and dad rushed in, apologizing for being late. They'd been at a parent-teacher conference for Angela that ran long because her teacher had so many wonderful things to say. They gave my project a quick glance, threw in a couple of "looks great, honey," then spent the rest of the evening talking to other parents, bragging about Angela's latest achievements in drama club. My project won second place, a ribbon that I hung on my bedroom wall, a small victory overshadowed once again by Angela's ever-expanding trophy shelf. In middle school, things didn't get much better. I was in advanced classes, pulling top grades, but my academic success was just expected, not celebrated. Angela, meanwhile, struggled with her grades, which meant she got all the attention at home. Tutors, nightly homework help, endless praise for every B she brought home. During one memorable parent-teacher night, I overheard my math teacher telling my parents how well I was doing, how I was a shoo-in for the advanced math track in high school. They nodded, smiled, and then immediately asked about extracurriculars that might be good for Angela, who was waiting at home. My achievements were just a footnote in their discussions, always overshadowed by Angela's needs and activities. It wasn't just academics. In 8th grade, I tried out for the school volleyball team. I made the team but barely played in games. I spent most of my time on the bench, watching, waiting for a chance to prove myself. When I told my parents I was on the team, they were happy enough but never came to the games. They were too busy with Angela, who had started taking dance classes around the same time, classes that apparently couldn't be missed. High school offered a fresh start, or so I thought. I was determined to make it different, to stand out in ways that couldn't be ignored. I joined clubs, volunteered, and continued to ace my classes. But at home, it was the same story. Angela had entered high school too, and suddenly her transition, her experiences, her life took center stage. Sophomore year, I was elected vice president of the student council. It was a big deal for me. I'd worked hard campaigning, staying late for meetings, organizing events. I was buzzing with excitement the day I found out I'd won, practically bouncing through the door when I got home. I couldn't wait to share the news. That excitement fizzled out fast when I walked into the kitchen to find my family in the middle of a celebration. Angela had made the cheerleading squad. There were balloons, cake, the whole 9 yards. I stood there, holding my good news in my throat, suddenly feeling foolish for thinking this might be my moment. I mentioned my election offhand during dinner, trying to keep the disappointment out of my voice. There were congratulations, sure, a momentary pause in the Angela-centric conversation. But quickly, the focus shifted back to her, to what cheer she would be doing, to how we needed to rearrange our schedules for her practices and games. It was a pattern that repeated over and over throughout high school. Every achievement I had was overshadowed by something, anything, Angela did. My role in the National Honor Society was less important than her lead in the school play. My perfect attendance awards were less noteworthy than her participation in the spring musical. It all came to a head during our senior year. College application season was stressful for everyone, but I had my sights set on a few top schools, places I dreamed of attending since freshman year. I worked diligently on my applications, essays, and SAT prep. When acceptance letters started coming in, I was over the moon. I got into several of my top choices, each acceptance a confirmation that my hard work wasn't for nothing. The day I got my acceptance to a prestigious out-of-state university, I was ecstatic. This was it, my ticket out, my chance to really start my own life away from the shadow of my sister. I gathered up the acceptance letters, planning to show them to my parents that evening. But when I got home, the focus was all on Angela. She'd been accepted to a local college, a good school, but nowhere near as competitive. My parents were thrilled, talking about how they could visit her easily, how she'd be close to home. When I showed them my letters, they were happy for me. But the conversation quickly turned back to logistics for Angela, to keeping her close, to making sure she wouldn't have to go too far from the safety net of home. My moment, like so many others, was swept aside. My decision to go to that out-of-state university was met with concerns about distance and safety, not with pride or excitement. It was clear that no matter what I achieved, Angela's comfort and happiness would always come first. That realization hurt, but it also lit a fire in me. I was determined to go to that university, to start fresh, to build a life where I was more than just Angela's older sister, where my achievements and my happiness could stand on their own. Moving out was my declaration of independence, a loud statement that I was done being the backdrop to someone else's vibrant painting. I was 20, balancing a full course load at university while working part-time to scrape together enough for rent and tuition. It wasn't easy, but every challenge I faced in my cramped one-bedroom apartment was a testament to my resilience, a badge of honor I wore with a mix of pride and relief. The decision to move out wasn't made on a whim. It was the culmination of years of feeling sidelined, of watching my sister Angela receive all the familial support and attention while I was expected to be self-sufficient. This dynamic didn't improve with age. If anything, it became more pronounced as we grew older. My achievements, no matter how significant, were always overshadowed by the smallest of Angela's accomplishments. The day I left, I packed my belongings into a couple of suitcases and boxes, the sum total of my life fitting neatly into the back of an old car I had bought with my savings. There were no tearful goodbyes or heartfelt wishes for luck, just a brief, somewhat awkward exchange with my parents, who seemed more confused by my decision than anything else. Angela didn't even realize I was moving out until she saw the empty space where my things used to be. Settling into my new apartment was a reality check. The place was small, the walls were thin, and the furnishings were a mishmash of whatever I could afford from thrift stores and clearance sales. But it was mine. For the first time, I had a space where I could make the rules, where I could come home and know that everything was exactly where I had left it, where the silence was for my contemplation, and not a side effect of being ignored. Managing my finances was one of the biggest challenges. I quickly learned to budget like a pro, juggling bills, rent, and tuition payments with the meager earnings from my part-time job. Groceries were bought on sale, luxuries were few and far between, and every penny spent was carefully considered. Nights out with friends were replaced by nights in with textbooks and instant noodles. It was a stark contrast to my life at home, where Angela's wants often translated into expenses that my parents didn't think twice about. Balancing work and study was another hurdle. My days were a blur of classes, library sessions, and long shifts at a local cafe. I would come home exhausted, my body aching for sleep, but my mind racing with everything I needed to do to stay ahead. Despite the exhaustion, there was a profound satisfaction in knowing that every grade I earned, every rent payment I made, was a result of my own efforts. There was no overshadowing here. My successes and failures were entirely my own. Socially, it was isolating at times. I watched my classmates head out for evenings of fun while I headed to work or back to my apartment to study. I envied their freedom, their careless laughter that seemed so far removed from my own responsibilities. But this period taught me a lot about myself. I learned that I could rely on my own strength, that I could face challenges head-on and come out the other side stronger for it. There were moments of doubt, of course, nights when I lay in my bed listening to the sounds of the city and wondering if I had made a mistake. In those moments, the weight of what I had taken on felt overwhelming. But then I would remember the reasons why I left. I thought about the constant comparisons, the way my needs had always come second to Angela's, the way my parents had managed to make even my accomplishments feel like they were lacking somehow. These reflections steeled my resolve. They reminded me that moving out was not just about finding a place to live. It was about finding a place to grow, to understand who I was outside of the family dynamics that had shaped so much of my life. It was about breaking the pattern of being an afterthought in my own story. As I moved through my university years, the distance from my family allowed me to build a life that felt genuinely mine. I made friends, connections that were based on mutual respect and shared experiences rather than familial obligation. I became involved in university activities, taking on roles that challenged and excited me. Each success was a building block in my newfound self-esteem, each failure a lesson rather than a mark against my worth. By the time I graduated, I had a solid group of friends, a degree, and a job lined up. The pride I felt walking across that stage to receive my diploma was untainted by any need for validation from my family. I had proven to myself that I could make it on my own terms, and that was enough. Reflecting on those years now, I realize how crucial they were in shaping the person I have become. They were a time of growth, of trial and error, of setting the foundations for the life I wanted to lead. They taught me about the value of independence, not just financially, but emotionally and mentally. Moving out might have started as a way to escape the favoritism that so defined my relationship with my family, but it became so much more. It was the beginning of truly understanding my worth, of seeing that I was capable of so much more than being the overlooked older sister. It was hard, yes, and lonely at times, but it was also one of the most empowering decisions I ever made. After graduating from university, I found myself in a place of solid independence. I was financially stable, emotionally more resilient, and professionally just starting to make my mark. It was around this time that Ricky and I took our relationship from good friends to something more. We had known each other since our second year of university, but it was only after we both had settled into our careers that we began to see each other in a new light. Ricky was different from anyone I'd ever dated. He was incredibly supportive, genuinely interested in my thoughts and feelings, and never made me feel overshadowed or less important. Our relationship grew naturally, filled with deep conversations, shared interests, and a mutual respect that I'd always longed for but never quite experienced. I think what made our relationship so special was the fact that Ricky knew all about my family dynamics. He'd seen firsthand how my achievements were often brushed aside, how my parents' blatant favoritism towards Angela affected me. He understood my need for space from them, my drive to prove myself on my own terms. And rather than judge or pity me, he stood by me, offering support and understanding. About 5 years into our relationship, when I was fully immersed in my career and we were both secure in our life paths, Ricky proposed. It wasn't a grand gesture, no public displays or elaborate setups. It was perfectly us, simple, sincere, and private. We had gone hiking, something we both loved, on a crisp fall day when the leaves were just turning. We reached a lookout point, with stunning views of the valley below, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. We were sitting there, catching our breath and taking in the beauty of the moment, when he turned to me, his expression serious, but his eyes warm. He took my hand, and with a gentle but earnest tone, he started talking about our journey together, how much he valued our relationship, and how he couldn't imagine his life without me. Then he pulled out a small, simple ring and asked if I would marry him. I didn't hesitate. I said yes, of course. It was one of the happiest moments of my life, filled with pure joy and a sense of rightness that I had never felt before. We sat there for a long time, talking about our future, making plans, and just enjoying the realization that we were going to spend our lives together. Telling my family, however, was a different story. Given the strained relations, I wasn't sure how to approach them about my engagement. Ricky, ever the optimist, encouraged me to give them a chance, to share this happy news and maybe, just maybe, mend some fences along the way. After all, they didn't even know I was dating, and I don't think they cared. Ricky finally persuaded me to tell them, so I went home one weekend with him that day. He was looking so good. I had to tease him about trying to impress my parents, and he didn't deny it. My sister wasn't home when we arrived, but she came in a few minutes later. Can you imagine that? She kept flirting with him even after she found out that I brought him home as my fiancé, who I was obviously going to marry. I was irritated at my sister's behavior and the fact that my mom said nothing to her. Ricky helped me keep my cool, though, because he held me tightly to his side the whole time. My parents seemed happy for me. Well, it's not like they had a choice. I wasn't there to take permission, but to inform them of my decision. After some weeks, Ricky took me to one of our favorite places. I noticed that he was being extra gentle with me. He did that when he had something serious to tell me, or something he wasn't comfortable with. So I braced myself up for it. I was so curious that before we got to the restaurant, I asked him what the problem was and what he wanted to tell me. He asked me to calm down and that he wasn't running away. He told me that my sister had been flirting with him since they met. She found him on social media and wouldn't let him be. So now it's uncomfortable for him. She told him to leave me because she was better for him than I was. I was furious. How far could she really go? I didn't want to speak to her on the phone, so I told Ricky that I was going to my parents' house the next day to set things straight. Update 1. Thanks so much for all your support and good luck messages. They really mean a lot to me, especially given everything that's been going down. So here's the lowdown. I decided to confront my family about a pretty serious issue that's been bugging me for a while. I figured Saturday would be a good day to catch everyone at home. I had called ahead to let them know I was coming over because I wanted to talk about something important. My mom also mentioned she wanted to talk, which had me hoping maybe we could clear the air or sort things out. I arrived at my parents' house around noon, thinking this was going to be a constructive discussion. But oh boy, was I wrong. I started off by bringing up the issue that's been eating at me. My sister has been openly flirting with my fiancé, Ricky, and it's not something I can just brush off. I mean, there are plenty of fish in the sea, and she needed to back off since Ricky's clearly taken. Thinking about the whole situation was making me nauseous, but I laid it all out, expecting some kind of understanding, or at least a plan to address it. That's when my mom hit me with a bombshell. She told me the real reason she wanted to talk was that my sister had apparently fallen head over heels for Ricky since she first met him. And then, without skipping a beat, she actually asked me to break things off with Ricky and let my sister have him because she was in love. I was completely floored. How could they even suggest something like that? Ricky isn't some object to be passed around based on who likes him more. I told them straight up that they were being incredibly selfish and that I was disgusted by even the thought of being associated with such a mindset. While my mom did all the talking, my sister just sat there, crying those big, fake crocodile tears, and my dad was just a silent figurehead, as usual, going along with whatever my mom said. My mom tried to guilt trip me by saying that I was being selfish for putting my own happiness before my sister's desires, that I never learned to think about others. A ludicrous statement if there ever was one. I shot back, telling them there was no way I was going to ditch Ricky. We've been together for 5 years, we're engaged, and my sister's fleeting crush wasn't enough to make me even consider such a ridiculous idea. That's when things got even uglier. My mom declared that if I couldn't do this for my sister, then they wouldn't come to my wedding. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this really the family I grew up with? By then, it was clear my dad wasn't going to stand up for what was right. He's never been one to challenge my mom or take a stand. After dropping that bomb, I just left. I couldn't take another minute. I was so shaken up that I broke down crying in my car as I drove away. It felt like my whole world had shifted. Who were these people? How could they expect me to sacrifice my happiness like that? Ricky was equally shocked when I told him. He knew my family was difficult, but he didn't realize the extent until now. I apologized that my family drama was now spilling over into our life together. Even saying it out loud, how ridiculous this all was, felt surreal. So now I'm at a crossroads. My family's ultimatum hangs over me like a dark cloud. It hurts knowing that they might not be at my wedding. But at the same time, do I really want such toxicity at one of the happiest days of my life? Ricky and I have some thinking to do, but one thing's for sure. We need to surround ourselves with people who love and support us, not those who see us as pawns in their selfish games. I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the good things I have going for me, but it's tough. The support from this community has been incredible, and I can't thank you enough. It's comforting to know I'm not alone in this. I'll keep you all updated as things develop. But for now, my focus is on maintaining my peace and planning a future with Ricky, hopefully free from any more unnecessary drama. Thanks again for being here for me. Update 2. Hey everyone, I wanted to drop another update because a lot has been going on with the wedding planning and, unfortunately, the family drama hasn't really cooled down. Thanks for all your support and advice. It's been super helpful and comforting knowing I'm not going through this alone. So, where to start? Well, the wedding preparations have been one of the few highlights lately. Everything is picking up pace, and seeing it all come together is really exciting. We've nailed down the venue, caterer, and the band, and I've been diving into all the small details that make the day special. It's been a nice distraction from the other less pleasant stuff. But, as you guessed, not all is smooth sailing. Despite Ricky blocking her, my sister still seems to think she has a chance with him. It's beyond frustrating, and frankly, quite delusional. Ricky has made it clear he's not interested, and honestly, every attempt she makes just drives a bigger wedge between us. I never imagined having to deal with something like this from my own sister. It's surreal. My friends have been amazing through all this. They've really stepped up, helping not just with the wedding but also being there for me emotionally. My best friend even attempted to talk some sense into my mom and sister, calling them to explain how their actions were affecting me. Unfortunately, that conversation didn't go well. They're both as stubborn as ever, with my mom even admitting she only threatened to skip the wedding to try and break Ricky and me up. She thought if she pushed hard enough, I'd end my engagement with Ricky to keep the peace. I couldn't believe what I was hearing when my friend relayed the conversation. It was like living in some bizarro world where up is down and right is wrong. When I heard my mom actually thought she could manipulate me like that, I just laughed. It's ridiculous how she believes she holds so much power over my decisions. While I would love for my family to be at my wedding, I've realized that their presence isn't worth the cost of my happiness. If they want to miss out on one of the biggest days of my life over something so petty, then maybe it's better they don't come. I still went ahead and sent them invitations, though. I figured it was the mature thing to do, to give them one last chance to be part of my life in a meaningful and positive way. But honestly, I've set my expectations pretty low. Their response, or lack thereof, will tell me everything I need to know about where we stand, If they decide to come, acknowledge their mistakes, and genuinely want to support me, then maybe there's a sliver of hope for mending our relationship. On the other hand, if they choose to continue with their current behavior, I'm fully prepared to cut them out of my life for good. I can't keep dealing with their negativity and manipulation. It's exhausting, and it's not how I want to live. I've realized that just because someone is family doesn't mean you owe them endless chances, especially when they've repeatedly shown they don't respect you or your choices. As the wedding day approaches, I'm trying to focus on the positive aspects and the people who genuinely support and love me and Ricky. We're both incredibly excited about starting our new life together, and we won't let anyone's selfishness or drama overshadow our joy. I'm looking forward to celebrating our love with friends and family who care about us and want the best for us. Thanks again for sticking with me through this wild ride. Your messages of support and shared experiences have been a beacon of light in what has been a pretty dark time. I'll definitely keep you all updated as more developments unfold. But for now, I'm just going to keep planning the happiest day of our lives and hoping for a drama-free celebration filled with love and laughter. Here's to better days ahead. Update 3. Hey everyone, checking in from my honeymoon spot, and I'm still buzzing with excitement and happiness. I can't believe it. I'm actually married to the absolute love of my life, Ricky. Just typing that out feels surreal, like I'm living in a dream. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. The wedding itself was everything I ever dreamed of, and then some. It was a beautiful day, filled with love, laughter, and lots of dancing. Being surrounded by friends and Ricky's family, who have shown nothing but love and acceptance, really made the day magical. They've become my family now, and their warmth and kindness have meant the world to us both. However, not everything was perfect, and there was a bittersweet tinge to the day. Despite hoping otherwise, my own family didn't show up. It was painful, really painful. Throughout the ceremony, I found myself glancing over at the seats where I hoped to see them, holding on to a shred of hope that they'd walk through the door at the last minute. But they never came. Ricky noticed what I was doing and, at one moment, just pulled me close and whispered for me to focus on us, on the beautiful beginning we were about to embark on. He reassured me that right then, it was just about the two of us, and that was all that mattered. His words helped more than he might realize. They reminded me that while the absence of my family hurt, it didn't define our day or our lives together. We were there to celebrate our love and commitment to each other, and nothing could take away from that. The support from Ricky's family was overwhelming, in the best way possible. They filled so much of that empty space with their presence and love, making sure every moment was a celebration. After the wedding, saying that I was emotionally drained would be an understatement. It's hard to grapple with the fact that my own family chose not to be a part of one of the most important days of my life. At times, I wonder if they'll ever come around, or if the rift between us will just keep growing. Right now, my heart feels a bit numb towards them, like I don't even recognize them as my parents or my sister anymore. I don't know if that will change in the future, but right now, I'm choosing happiness. I'm choosing to focus on the new family I've gained through Ricky and on our future together. The joy of the day, despite the shadows, affirmed that Ricky and I can face anything as long as we have each other. Our wedding day, despite the absence of my biological family, was genuinely the best day of our lives because it represented us moving forward together, stronger and more in love than ever. So here I am, a newly married woman, incredibly excited about what lies ahead. I'm looking forward to building our life together, filled with love, respect, and mutual support. The path may not always be smooth. Life's like that, after all. But I know we'll navigate it together. Thanks again for all your love and support through this journey. Sharing this with you all has been incredibly therapeutic and has helped me more than words can say. I'll definitely keep you updated as we embark on this new chapter of our lives. For now, I'm going to soak up every moment of this honeymoon and the new beginnings it represents. Here's to love, laughter, and a future filled with happiness.